this channel. This is a GP geopolitics, economics, military, and a social channel where we get to discuss, analyze situations and stories and all dynamics that that bring change to a country or a region. Yes, my name is Steven. Your host today. Today we are going to handle topics in episodes. We are going to look at the shift in Africa, the level of shift that we have in Africa today. We are going to look at over 54 countries and the shifts that Africa has went through up to today. So we are going to look into it in several episodes. The first episode will be the political shift or the power shift. The second will be the military shift in form of technology, shift in form of finance, and also we are going to look at economic shift in Africa. That is the economy of each country out of the 54 countries. Also, the shift in the dimension in the borders of countries in Africa, how diplomacy is entire change, entire shift, whereby we have the integration of countries to form a region, integration of countries to form alliances. These alliances are in terms of alliances, some are in political alliances, some are in form of social alliances. So all these shifts brings us to this topic today. My friends, let's get right into it. So when we talk about shifts in Africa, what do we mean? Here we mean things that are characterized by significant demographic growth, youthfulness, the push for economic diversification, technological adoption, be it adoption in military or in production, manufacturing, and mining, and several activities that are in Africa. Socially, also the integration of technology and adoption in Africa. So these are both in political, in economical, and in social dynamics. Because in Africa, indeed, the story says that in Africa, so many things began from here and spread to other places. Though out of oppression and the bad practice, Africa began to remain behind because of people with bad heart or bad practices. So let's look at how a development in demographic and social bring about these shifts. So we have things like a youth large demographic, that means we mean population, and this population include categories of human beings at different level. We have children, we have youth, we have adults, we have parents, we have elderly, and we have vulnerable people with disabilities. So if we look at the youths, how the youths have contributed to the shift in Africa. In Africa is a continent where we have almost the largest majority of youths, and actually to some certain percentage, the youths are very many in Africa. So this gives a significant shift in Africa. So being that it's nearly 60% of the population are under 25, and this presents a demographic divide for economic growth, provided it provided significant jobs are created. So currently, millions of youth enter the labor market each year, especially in Uganda. The largest are the majority of the youth. And if you look at the market that is business, majority are indulged in business because employment is not that much, but business is the easiest way for a local Ugandan youth to to earn a living. So this also it also conform with the rapid urbanization in Africa, whereby villages turn into town and turn into a district and turn into a city. So rapid urbanization also is contributing to the fastest shift in Africa, in all regions in the world, I mean in the continent. Is We are expecting by 2050, we expect to have over 950 million people in Africa. So this demographic shift, when you combine with urbanization, it makes us have a massive it makes us to require massive investment in infrastructure and public services by the expectation of over 90 and 95 950 million people in Africa. So if we have a rapid urbanization, rapid if rapid creation of infrastructure and public services, this is achievable. The shift can be massive by 2025. So also these shifts also we can also look at things like increased migration. Uh, there is a significant increase in migration within Africa, mostly for labor and better livelihoods. This is driven by push factor like limited job opportunity and governance issues. So it is in African continent where you find youths are very many. They are yearning for employment opportunities. They are yearning for to earn a living. So that's why you find there is large and massive migration to other countries. Let's say a youth is going to go to Dubai to do some work to earn money, to earn a better pay, to earn better living, to improve their income and standard of living, both where they are working from in other countries abroad and also at home to their people. So that also affects and also bring about a shift in African continent. So we have things like other indicators like social indicators, improved social indicators. This has been a positive change. It has been a positive change in some areas such as increased school attendance for girls and the management of HIV stroke AIDS from pandemic to manageable chronic diseases. And if we talk about HIV AIDS, we can also talk about COVID-19 that we have surpassed as a continent. It is now a past and people are moving on with their life, though it affected other continents massively than the way it affected Africa. and it would not have affected COVID-19 would not have affected Africa massively if we had a bigger shift, like the income, what, the finance and all that, and the general public services were in place. So also we have economic shifts. Looking at it, that generally we have been looking at social and demographic. Now, if we look at an episode in the area of economics, in Africa economy, we have things like geoeconomics. African nations are increasingly shifting focus from traditional geopolitics to geoeconomics, aiming to leverage their economic potential on the global stage. This is where you find every African nations and their leaders are advocating for integration to the international markets, to the international financial institutions like the World Bank and those other things. They are trying also to integrate with the larger majority in the political arena and governance at the UN. And also, it's no longer a national thing. It is, you find that countries are integrating regionally, like for example in Africa continent we have regions like East African economy, we have SADC, we have Sahel, and other integration of regions that is happening. Most of these regions, most of these integration and are in purchasing power capacity. So also uh, things like value addition and green minerals. A major push is underway to move beyond raw materials extraction. Africa holds over 30% of critical green minerals to local processing and value addition to capture more of the value chain. So if you look at, for example, Uganda, most of the time we have been exporting raw material, raw coffee, raw everything, raw everything material, raw materials. So at least at this stage of a shift, and export to the international market because it is valuable and more uh, more benefiting to process and then export to the international market. That's where you earn more valuable income out of the export you make than making an export of raw materials. That's why every government in Africa are trying to implement policies that can advocate for export of export of processed product than exporting raw materials. So it is also a serious shift in the international market and also the participation of individual countries. Most countries are integrating into AI and the other digital platforms, and also Africa is not left behind. It is a tremendous shift that most most youth and the government are adapting to the AI, and also in diplomatic talk with these dominant countries in AI to also establish infrastructure and also the we are also adapting to the same and use it for our benefit. Things like mobile money, digital financial services are expanding rapidly, increasing financial inclusion. There is a strong interest in leveraging artificial intelligence, that is AI, for sectors like health, agriculture, education, and address. This will help most of these nations to address sectors and other challenges in areas like education, agriculture, and also help bypass traditional infrastructure barriers. So, in other words, it is AI is the future of knowledge, the future of infrastructure, the future of every formula to growth and development. So it is also a significant shift in Africa. Then also we have infrastructure investment. Most of the time, Africa was viewed as the dark side of the world, the dark side, a dark continent. But with this significant shift and the critical diplomacy and uh, openness to the international market, openness to other the foreign affairs. It has helped Africa to also adapt to the infrastructure investment, whereby other countries and other investors come in and do the investment in infrastructure, and also things like industrial investment and road construction, uh, the projects and contracts. So these ambitious projects like African integrated high-speed railway network around the whole continent. For example, in Uganda we have Uganda-Kenya railway, in Uganda-Tanzania railway. This helps boost economic trade, and also opens Uganda to other neighboring countries and to the world, being that it is a landlocked country and it needs to be to have a direct access to the coast, like Mombasa coast, Dodoma, and other coasts. So with diplomacy and the good neighborhood and relationship, it is helping countries like Uganda and other landlocked countries to be open to the shores and coast, to help in trade and the export and access to global market. So that is significant shift in the infrastructure investment, and also government to government relationship, that is by the in the internal, I mean not external, international affairs. So after looking at all these episodes in economic, social, we are also looking at politics, and also the security shifts in Africa. When we talk about politics, we look at things like governance challenges, and also other democratic aspirations. So governance challenges in Africa that has contributed to these shifts. We can look at the persistent governance issues, including political instabilities in most areas of African continent, in so many nations like Sudan, Congo, Rwanda, where in Central Africa, West Africa, South Africa, there is always civil war, there is always the war, conflicts, displacement of people, and these are all as a result of bad governance. And but again, it is not like those days. There is a tremendous shift in this, though we still have few challenges, and this This was as a result of failed independence of the African continent, whereby there is a large majority of influence from a global stage and world powers. They come, influence, cause conflict, and divide, then take the resources for free. So, in areas like Sahel and the other African areas, particularly Sahel region, we are seeing a serious and tremendous shift whereby we have countries like Burkina Faso, we have Niger, Mali, Togo, and other countries are trying to create an to tackle security issues and the independence and also sovereignty, and also hold ground for their economic issues and financial and the economic, I mean, like the national resources that the people can benefit and grow well with it. So, uh, as in grave exploitation, whereby these dominant world powers, dominant countries, dominant nations that have been in control and under great influence to these African nations have been greatly doing large extortion practice in Africa, and in form of tactics of slavery, tactics of keeping people in poverty or in taking advantage of less privileged people, the poor, and so they take advantage of them and they give them less and they take much of the resources. So it has been a very manipulative practice by these world powers. Then, when you look at the security crisis, indeed has contributed to the shift in Africa. Security crisis in terms of terrorists, in terms of uh, bandits, so many security threats. Let's say dictators, rebels. They camp in Africa. They come and create cells. They all with ambitions to disorganize and put Africa and African nations in development, no any form of alliance that can help them. At the end of that day, they are extorted, they are exploited, and the mineral resources are exploited and extorted out for free. So, in most aspects, maybe we can also look at the victims, the victims the victims. Of course, the victim. These are local Africans. These are yeah, these are people who are living in Africa. Africans. They are gravely a victim of bad governance, victim of conflicts, victims of extortion, victim of poverty, victim of insecurity, victims in all aspects. At the end of the day, they are the ones suffering, but the few are benefiting out of this. So it's very weird that in Africa we have the largest majority of dictators, people who tend to stay longer in power, and this is a very great crisis that Africa as a continent is facing. And we are happy that with the significant shift, most of the African people have managed to know, they've managed to wake up and oppose this bad practice of bad governance. They have managed to elect leaders who are also going at the world stage and opposing this extortion and opposing exploitation. Yes, so it is a significant shift in Africa, and we are so glad for